All right, now we're on Transcendental, still chapter 5. We're doing base A instead of just e to the x. So some of this is just some pre-calc stuff, change of base formula on how you can move one to the other. Again, just log pre-calc stuff, how to move stuff around. And then here's our calculus, the derivative of a to the x. They use a instead of e because a is a generic constant. Is going to be a to the x times natural log of a. Now this is not in conflict with e to the x because derivative of e to the x is e to the x, and that would be times natural log of e, which is a 1. So that's just a shorter version of this same formula. So now if we've got log base a, just like before, we had the derivative of natural log was 1 over x, and natural log has base e, so times 1 over the natural log of that base. So what you're really doing is this change of base formula and bringing in that constant, that 1 over natural log of a, into your problem. So one perspective is to use the change of base and move everybody to be natural log and not log base a. Other perspective is just realize that you're going to have a constant in here when you have a log that is not a natural log. You're going to have an additional constant. And then just double check, go through this process. If I'm moving back and forth, just realize that it's got to be able to move back and forth. So for example 1, I take my derivative f prime. It's going to be just like e to the x is e to the x, then you got to multiply by the natural log of 4. All right, y prime is going to be the same thing. And I'm going to chain it, my -6, and then I've got to multiply by the natural log of the base. I don't have any rhyme or reason into the order, just make sure all 3 parts are there, and in multiple choice process, you're looking for all 3 parts to be there. Example 3, now we've got a product rule, so I've got the derivative of the first, which is 1 times the second, plus the derivative of the second. So you're going to copy. Some people prefer to do the natural log of the base first so they don't forget, because it's always going to be there. And then you have your chain rule for the top, and then we've got to multiply by the first from the product rule. So this entire piece is just the derivative of the a to the x portion. Same, you can't leave it in that form because we're multiplying by 1 and things like that. It's a little redundant. You are more than welcome to distribute this x if you see fit or leave it outside. Personal preference. If you prefer parentheses rather than multiplication symbol, just you need to make sure this is in a bracket to multiply by x because you did not distribute. All right, number 4, now we've got a quotient rule. So I've got my derivative, the derivative of the top. So I'm going to go 3 to the 2x multiplied by the natural log of 3. Chain rule multiplied by 2 multiplied by the bottom minus the derivative of the bottom multiplied by the top all over the bottom squared. Again, clean it. There's really not much to clean. You know, big picture, all you're really going to do is not write that 1. All right, number 5. Got a product rule, derivative of the first, right? You're going to copy, that is a -x over 2 multiplied by the natural log of the base, multiplied by the chain rule. Multiply all of that together. Sometimes a grouping symbol. It's a little redundant, but it makes it cleaner to see. Multiplied by the second, plus derivative of sine is cosine. Keep the inside the same, derivative of the inside, and then multiply by the first. Same, there's not a lot of cleanup to do, I understand. Just realize that if this is an FRQ, they'd either have more cleanup or realistically it's not going to be on an FRQ. Who are we kidding? It's going to be on multiple choice. All right, so then I've got product rule again, derivative of the first times the second plus derivative of the second a to the x multiplied by natural log of the base multiplied by the chain rule multiplied by the first. All right, moving forward here, number 7. Now I've got log base 2. All right, so then the derivative of my log base 2. Well, I think I'd rewrite this. Let's not. Log base 2 of x squared minus log base 2 of the quantity x minus 1. So if I take the derivative of the first one, right, you're going to go 1 over your argument, and then you're going to have the natural log of your base as your multiplier minus 1 over your argument, and then the natural log of the base as the multiplier. All right, so now we're going to have number 8. Same idea, I would do a pre-calc rewrite here, right? So you're going to bring the 1/2 in front. You've got log base 5 of the quantity x squared minus 1. So if I take my derivative, it comes along for the right, the 1/2, 1 over your argument multiplied by its chain, 2x multiplied by 1 over the natural log of your base. Simplification, my 2's can simplify off. So I'm going to have an x in the numerator. I'm going to have a natural log of 5 and an x squared minus 1 in the denominator. Number 9. Just taking a moment to look, see if there's a quick rewrite. I didn't see one, so I'm just going to do quotient rule. I've got derivative of the top, so 10 multiplied by 1 over my argument, multiplied by 1 over the natural log of my base, multiplied by the denominator minus derivative of the denominator, multiplied by my numerator, and writing 10 and log next to each other is sometimes a handwriting nightmare because it looks like LO twice all over the bottom squared. So we cannot have complex fractions here. That doesn't go away. So let's see how we can simplify. My 1 over x and x are gone. If I multiply everybody by a natural log of 4, that would get the natural log of 4 out of my first term. So that gives me a 10 minus, let's go with natural log of 4 times 10 times log base 4 of x all over natural log of 4x squared. All right, no complex fractions, no negative powers. All right, so now number 10 says use logarithmic differentiation. So they don't want you to do like a power rule, and you can't, right? Because you have a variable power. So you should set up like a to the x, but your base also has an x. So whenever you have a base of an x and an exponent of an x, the only way to solve that is with logarithmic differentiation. I would recommend using the natural log instead of any other log just because it's shorter to write. And we got some cleaner rules. So we've got natural log of y is equal to the natural log of the right side. All right, my log rules allows me to bring that exponent in front as a coefficient. So I'm looking for my dy dx. So the derivative of the left side is 1 over your argument chain rule. And on the right side, I've got a product. So if I have the derivative of 1 over x, all right, so this is where people get mixed up with, is that natural log or is that not? Well, I would try the power rule first. So when you are considering this, you're really thinking of x to the negative 1. So I can bring down to negative 1 and drop them to a negative 2. So that guy's okay. It's if you have to go to a 0 and divide by 0, that's where you realize it's the other one. So derivative of the first times the second plus the derivative of the second. So I've got 1 over my argument multiplied by the first. And that looks a little bit ridiculous, but that's okay. So now to solve for my dy dx here, I need to multiply both sides by y. But I don't want to have x and y in my problem, so I'm going to take this quantity and substitute that in for y. So now my dy dx does not change. All right, all of my green stuff here does not change. And again, we can put it as one fraction, but it kind of looks fine the way it is. I'm going to put a square bracket here. I don't see a benefit right now of putting it together. And we need to realize that this multiplication of y is by the whole side. So this should be in a large bracket here. All right, so I'm just going to write this as one fraction because I feel like it's a little bit faster. No, take that back. We'll write them separate because that's not correct. All right, so then I've got that. No, that's fine. And then I'm going to have my y, right? I'm going to go back up top here. So then I'm going to have my quantity 1 plus x raised to the 1 over x. So now every variable here is an x input. I've got dy dx by itself. Feeling pretty good. All right, we're almost done. They have this compound interest concept here thrown in because it's based on the base e. Compound interest, right? If you're going to calculate your interest quarterly, you would divide by 4, monthly divided by 12, daily divided by 365. If you want it continuously, then what happens is you're going to take this n and run it with a limit to infinity. And what happens to this expression is that it turns into the value e. All right, that's not dumb luck. That's just mathematics. That's how it runs. So you can either just use this as base e, or you can run this with the limit as n goes to infinity. Both give you the same amount of information here. So complete the table, determine the amount of money p present for, all right, compounded continuously. So based on that information there, we know we're using the a equals PERT. Some people call it PERT because it spells out PERT, to produce a balance of $100,000. We want to produce a balance. So that means my output is going to be $100,000. All right, so they're asking me complete the table to determine the amount of money P present. Okay, so then I got to solve for P. So then I've got E to the 0.06 T, and we're going to change that T for every value in the chart there. So then if I solve for P, I really have 100,000 divided by E to the 6% T. And I'm just going to pause a second here and do the calculation and come back. All right, so I just ran it in the calculator. I just put that equation in, and I'm using the data table to make it go a little faster. The difference here between the number of times you compound and continuously, mathematically it makes a difference, but realistically money ends in 2 decimal places, so there's not much difference. So for the first one here, I'm going to have, if I started with 94,176.45, and then for 10 years, if I started with 54,881.16 cents. For 20 years, if I started with 30,119.42 cents. 30 years, if I started with 16,529.89 cents. For 40 years, if I started with $9,071.80. And then for 50 years, if I started with 4,978.71. All right, convert a base E by using the formula, and then integrate directly using a to the x. So if I convert using the formula for part A, that tells me I've got e to the natural log of 2 times x dx. So that means that I want to use a u substitution. Let u equal natural log of 2 multiplied by x. So then du is natural log of 2 dx. So that means I would need to force a natural log of 2, and then I'd have to counter with 1 over natural log of 2. So then I've got 1 over the natural log of 2, the integral of e to the u du, and I know the antiderivative of e to the u is e to the u, and I'm going to back substitute my u to say natural log of 2. To some separation there, so you know it's a coefficient and it's not the natural log of 2x plus c. All right, now if I just use the formula, all right, so the question is the integral of 2 to the x dx. So if I just use the formula, 2 to the x is 2 to the x, and then you're going to have to multiply by 1 over the natural log of 2 plus c. All right, so right now these look different, right? So if I come back to the red one to make a match, I still have my 1 over natural log of 2. But what happens when you have e to the natural log of 2? That's going to transfer back, right? And I can write that back as a to the x, which would be 2 to the x. So I had to transfer in to base e, then I had to transfer out of base e to make a match. And that's a lot of transfer, or you can memorize the formula for a few days, and then you're going to be all right. All right, that is our last one here. So I'll see you later.